Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so I told you I was gonna give you a nice rundown slash tour of my whiskey collection. So this is gonna be part one. This is gonna be the stuff that I keep in and on my cabinet. And then I have a bunch of other whiskey that I keep in my kitchen on top of those cabinets, which I'll get to in a part two video. But let's start up here at the top. Actually, before I even get into it, I've been in a whiskey not nearly as long as I've been into cigars. I want to say I started my spirits journey about 9 years ago. But I got into exploring spirits and seeing what my favorite kind of spirits were, tequila, and then eventually into whiskey, and then here we are now. But I actually started my whiskey collection before I started my cigar collection. Now, I've been into cigars since I was 18, as I mentioned in a previous video. But as far as like really exploring and even starting the collection, I started my whiskey collection a bit before I started my cigar collection. So we're gonna start up here at the top. And over here we have some Elijah Craig. So we have the toasted barrel. Now, before I get fully into it, I wanna say that most of these bottles are open. If it's not a backup or just something that I haven't gotten around to opening, it's probably open. So we have Elijah Craig toasted barrel. And then we have Elijah Craig A124. And then behind that, we have the, I won't say OG because it's not OG, but I have the 12-year age stated Elijah Craig. So no less than 12 years. All of these particular bottles are A123. One of my favorite batches of Elijah Craig barrel proof of all time. And then we have some barrel seagrass. And behind that, we have a backup of Boona Hobbit 12. And then behind that, we have a backup of Blue Spot. And then we have some barrel bourbon batch 34. Pretty good juice. We have some Calumet 16. I'm not a huge fan of Calumet, but the 16 year is fire. If you know anything about that juice, that's actually like I believe the Sam Houston distillate. So it's really 16 year Sam Houston. And behind that, we have a backup of Red Spot. Then we have a Russell's Reserve 13 year. I forget exactly which batch this is, but this is from 2023. I believe this is the first batch from 2023. As you can see, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And we have a couple backups of Eagle Rare 10 year. Still Austin Cask Strength Rye, but this is actually the single barrel. This is a Total Wine Store pick directly from Texas. And we have Baker's 7. This particular single barrel is 8 years, 6 months. And then behind that, we have Blanton's. And next to that, we have more Blanton's. We have the Lux Row single double barrel. This is not the 12 year. This is actually the 4 year. Good stuff. And then we have an unopened bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. This is 134.9 proof. I love that barrel so much I bought 3 bottles. One of them is gone already. I believe I bought it back in December of 2023. And then I bought another bottle probably a few days after that. And then I actually lucked up on another bottle a few months ago. Same barrel. Little Book Chapter 7, pretty good stuff. And behind there, I'm not going to get too heavy into it because I have a cigar box on top of that. But we have a Booker's Springfield batch, it's a 2401, and a Mighty Fine batch. I believe, actually, that's a Booker's Mighty Fine batch from last year and an Apprentice batch from last year. I actually do enjoy the Apprentice batch. I do have 2 bottles of the 2024-01 Springfield batch, but one's open in here and another is sitting up on top of my shelves, which will be in the second part of this collection. So when I first started this cabinet, I separated everything from genre of whiskey, like Scotch, Irish, and then the rest bourbon. But I've gotten so much bourbon over the past, 8 months or so, that it's kind of spilled into my other shelves. So we'll start off with the Scotch up here. We have Octomore 13.4, a 10.2, which I wish I had bought a backup of when I had the chance. So I treasure that bottle. We have another 13.4 beside it. That's a backup, obviously. Glenlivet 18 year. I don't really buy too many bottles under 100 proof anymore. This is actually a pretty old bottle. It's a little over a year old. but I have dipped into it here and there. Behind that, we have a bottle of Appleton Estate 12-year rum. Moving this Blue Note Mix out of the way, we have the Classic Laddie, a Port Charlotte 10-year, Kilhoman Loch Gorham 2023, a Bunnahabhain 12 2022. This is a cask strength edition. I'm not gonna lie, this is a unicorn bottle. I actually bought 3 bottles of this when I had the opportunity. I bought these directly from the UK, so these are 700 ml bottles. And I honestly wish I had more. I polished off 1 bottle probably within the first 3 weeks of having it, and then I kind of let the 2 backups sit. This is open though. This is one of those backups, but it's open, so obviously no longer a backup. Moving the stag out of the way, we have the Balvenie 17-year Week of Peat. I don't drink this that often. I swear every time I look at it, I wonder if my girlfriend's drinking it because it seems like it just gets lower. But another UK bottling. So the thing about being is I tend to buy my Scotch and Irish directly from the UK because they're much cheaper and it's a much better selection. Even with paying international shipping, it typically turns out to be cheaper than buying it in America. We have another Kilhoman. This is a Madeira cask. Matured, not finished, but matured. So the whole thing was matured in Madeira cask. Springbank 10-year. We have a Lefroy Lore, a Lefroy 10-year Sherry Oak finish, a Lefroy quarter cask. I actually do also have a Lefroy 10 cask strength. That'll be in the second video. We have a Ardbeg Corryvrecken. Love Ardbeg. I don't buy too many of their special releases, although there is one back there. I mostly stick to Uigeadail, which is probably my all-time favorite Scotch, and Corryvrecken, because I do love my peated Scotches. We have Abuna, Abelauer Abuna. Again, Ardbeg Uigeadail and Ardbeg Bizarbecue. Just to get these out of the way, we have a Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. This is a 2021. We have a Blue Note Juke Joint Cask Strength. I think, yeah, this is actually a Seal Box store pick. And then moving down into the Irish shelf, we have the Monster Redbreast 12-year cask strength up here. This Redbreast 12-year cask strength was actually the first cask strength whiskey that I ever bought that let me know that I love cask strength whiskeys. You won't see too many whiskeys in here under 100 proof, and if you do, they're either some sort of limited edition or I've had them for a while. Behind that, we have Redbreast PX edition, and then behind that, we have Redbreast 27-year. That is by far and away my favorite whiskey in this entire collection, period, despite what you'll see. We have a Penelope Barrel Strength Toasted. You can't really even get these anymore. I believe this is from early 2023. I have a backup of this as well. This is coming in at 114 proof. Great stuff. An Old Overholt 10-year in there. Getting back to the Irish, we have a Redbreast 15 and a Redbreast 21. Got my Byrons here in a special limited edition humidor. So we have an open bottle of Blue Spot 7-year-old whiskey, Irish whiskey. We have a Gold Spot 9-year Irish whiskey. Just getting this out the way, we have a Stag. This is a store pick from Lucan's down in Florida. 135.4 proof. This stuff is phenomenal. Getting back to the Irish, we have a Green Spot, which I believe is supposed to be 10-year. I don't think it's age stated, but I'm pretty sure it is 10-year. A Yellow Spot 12, and another open bottle of Red Spot 15. This is just some of my cigar stuff, lighters and cutters that I don't use as much, matches. And then getting down into the bourbon shelf. So, bear with me. We have Knob Creek 15-year, Knob Creek 12-year, and a store pick Knob Creek single barrel rye, which is, I believe, 8 years. Then we have Hardin's Creek Jacob's Well Batch 2, which is the 211. The 211 stands for the amount of months it was aged, so 211 months, which comes out to about 17 years, 6 months, 17 years, 7 months, something like that. We have a Russell Single Barrel. We have an OGD 114. Jack Daniel's 10-year. Bourbon Barrel Batch 35, which is actually my favorite of the Bourbon Barrel batches. I have a backup of this as well. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Bourbon, or Tennessee whiskey, depending on how you want to look at it. It's really bourbon, but because of the laws and the Tennessee whiskey process, it's not, they don't call it a bourbon, but it is a bourbon. We have Elijah Craig 18-year. Maker's Mark 2023 BEP 2XO Tribute Blend. We have a bottle of Joseph Magnus. Hey, Miso. We have a bottle of Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. I believe this is batch 218. Yep. 108.74 proof. This is a bottle of the Booker's Mighty Fine batch 2023-03. And then probably my all-time favorite rye, Barrel Craft Spirits Seagrass Gray Label. Sorry, this stuff focus a little bit. This is 16-year Canadian rye whiskey, finished in Martinique, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels. This one's coming in at 133.34 proof, or 66.67%. When those gray labels first came out, I believe batch 1 was actually like $250, but I believe the subsequent batches of the gray label were only like $160, which is more in line with what it's worth. It's really good juice. Even at $250, it'd probably be worth it, but I paid, I think, $150 for it out in Ohio. We have a Four Roses Single Barrel. This came out of Warehouse ME, and this is barrel number 186E. So different warehouses, different ricks, etc. I haven't nerded out on Four Roses yet, so, but I do know that, like, depending on the recipe, because they have a bunch of different recipes, and the rick and everything else, people look for very specific bottles of that stuff. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which I don't really drink this too much. This is one of the bottles I was buying when I first started this collection. I was getting heavy into bourbon, so I was exploring at the time. I don't really touch it as much. We got Wild Turkey Rare Breed back there, of course. Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond 7-year. Joseph Magnus Triple Cask. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I believe that's batch B523. And we have a Knob Creek Single Barrel Select. I've recently been dipping back into this. These are gems. $60, 120 proof, and you can find some pretty decent age on these things, but the flavor profile is right up my alley. Open bottle of Eagle Rare 10-year. This is Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye. This is the Booker's, I believe it's 2023-02. This is the Apprentice batch. This didn't get favorable reviews by a lot of people, but I personally loved it. I thought it was really good. It wasn't the best bourbon I ever had, and it does have like this bitter note that comes on the back end, but with water, it brings out the sweetness and that bitter note. I won't say it fully goes away, but then it more balances out what you're getting from it. You have McKenna 10-year. These are single barrels. I'm not a huge fan. It's not bad juice at all, but it's definitely not in my wheelhouse in terms of flavor profile, so I don't really drink it as much. We have an Old Forester 1920 back there. Moving over, you got Bardstown Origin Series Wheated. I do like wheated bourbons. Maker's Mark 46 French Oak Cask Strength. This one's coming in at 110.1 proof. This stuff is like toffee ice cream. It's amazing. We have Basil Hayden Toast. Not one of my favorites. I don't really drink this. I mostly use it to cook with at this point. Looking to probably give it away. to a friend or something. And then we have Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. Also good juice, but I don't know. I get a lot of apple off of it. It's good, but it's just not something I come back to that often. A 1.75 a Weller Special Reserve that I got down in New Orleans. Good juice. And then we have a Frey Ranch Single Barrel that I got out from California. All right, guys, so that pretty much wraps up part 1 of my whiskey collection. And I will be uploading part 2 very, very shortly. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Let me know what some of your favorites are. And leave it down in the comments.